Hi, this video is of particular interest to new beekeepers or even maybe people who are thinking about beekeeping. I'll be covering where you can put your bees. So the big question is always, oh, I'd love to have bees, but I've got nowhere to put them. Well, the answer is yes, you have. So I'll be talking about where you could locate your bees, how to build an apiary, how to make some really inexpensive, easy stands, and go through all the do's and don'ts about where to put your bees and how to start your beekeeping adventure. Where can I keep my beehives? Well, the obvious place is in your back garden or down the allotment. I've even seen them on garage roofs. Urban beekeepers make good use of flat roofs. If you are putting your bees in a confined space, then you need to be really thinking about screening, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. And if you're concerned that it might do damage or get stolen or something like that, then if you join your local beekeeping association, usually you are automatically insured and the fee isn't much at all. I'll tell you more about that later. Me personally, I used to put them in rural areas just outside of villages, and the way I found the location was simply by looking on Google Earth, deciding where I ideally wanted my bees, finding out who owned the land and just asking them, and everybody in my case said yes, you're more than welcome. Okay, so next we're going to have a look at screening and also building an apiary. The use of screening can be a great idea around your hives. I've used this green netting here, as you can see. Alternatively, you could use the wicker or wooden type fencing, as you can see in the pictures here. It can solve two purposes. It can prevent the wind from whipping across your beehives, and that can be quite damaging with those wintry easterly winds. But it can also prevent your bees from being a nuisance, because they will always climb to the height of your screening before they venture out to forage, and also the way back the same thing will happen. They will always travel to that height until they drop down into your hives. Well, that was the possible locations for your bees and screening. Now let's look at a clip of me last springtime actually, where I prepared my new apiary, and I'll go through things like positioning and hive stands. It's springtime and I'm planning to create another apiary because I'm expanding. The empire is expanding. So it's a lovely sunny day and I've decided on this spot over here. It looks terrible, but in my eyes it's perfect for bees. There's a few things that you really need to bear in mind, and that is, firstly, they've got to be out of harm's way. Also, they've got to be south facing in my view, so when they wake up in the morning they get that beautiful sunshine straight in their faces, so it lengthens the day of their productivity. As you can see over there, there's the sun and it's just gone midday, so this spot in particular attracts me because it's got a lovely backdrop there, so they're out of the wind, that horrible easterly wind you get through the winter. There's loads of water around here. So I've even built myself an old gate over there. Did that yesterday with an old pallet. So I've got the work cut out. You can see how I get on later. Well, those brambles certainly took a lot of clearing. A few scratches and a few choice words later, here is the finished apiary. As you can see, my pallet has become a lovely gate now. I've painted it. And let's go and have a little look, see what I've done inside. You will also notice those brambles that I've cut back make a natural screening all the way around my beehives. I've used 3x2 wood here with half rails for the legs, and the width of the stand is the same as a beehive, 18-inch or 45-46 centimeters. The advantage of that, of course, is that with this design you can lift your frames out when you're inspecting and just leave them there like that. Hive stands have got to be a minimum of 1 foot off the ground, but these are a bit higher, which also suits me because the higher they are, the less bending there is, so the less chance you do of damaging your back or getting backache, at least, especially towards the end of the season when there's a lot of honey hopefully to be taking off and all the rest of it. So the other thing to bear in mind is that hives have got to be a minimum really of 2 foot away from each other. So here they all are, they all fit nicely. I've got a nucleus box up the end, I've got a mixture of poly hives, wooden hives, they all fit. And I've even got a WBC there at the back with my top bar hive. Lovely sunshine, can't wait for the springtime. Here's some advice about hive stands. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that I personally use. So let's have a look at the first one. So let's start with the base. Now you need to remember that a hive may start off very light when you've got a few bees in there, but by the end of the season it's going to be probably well over 100 pounds in weight. That's over like 2 sacks of potatoes. So if you were to put a stand straight on the earth, then I pretty much guarantee that by the end of the season it will look like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or probably even worse. So you need to have a stable base. I would recommend getting yourself an old slab. They are the usual size, are 18-inch square, which are perfect for your beehive. These will probably cost, if you had to buy one new, they're only about £3. So then we have the wooden stand, which I favour, and this will cost you next to nothing. Easily made. This is an old pallet, and these are a couple of old pieces of wood that I found. So let's have a little look and see how to make one. Okay, I'm going to show you very simply how to make that hive stand, and it will cost you maybe just a bag of nails. That's it. So these cross pieces are made from an old pallet. This one in particular. As you can see, I'm quite a fan of using pallets. I used the other pallet for my gate over in the apiary earlier. So here we are, and these were pieces of wood that I had lying around. What is really ideal for the legs actually is old fence posts, wooden fence posts. And the time of the year that you'll be probably making hive stands is in early spring, and that's about the time of year when we get the heavy gales and everybody's fences blow down. So quite often it's not difficult to find a broken off fence post here or there. So here we go. I've just literally nailed these 3 nails, you can use screws, onto these legs. Then I repeat the process, and here's another one there. Okay. Oops. Like that. And then 2 more pieces of pallet wood that I've crowbarred off the pallet. Some people prefer to put them on the outside. I like to put them on the inside. Simple reason being that if you see the finished stand over here, the advantage for me is that these are a little bit narrower than putting them on the outside, so that if you need to put a shallower hive or a nucleus box, they won't drop down, they're more stable. So simply, once you've squared it up, that should do it. Same the other side. Turn it round. I mean, some people actually sell these, but to be honest, if you're not too afraid of basic DIY, then why not just have a go? So there we have your hive stand. I've just given that one a coat of fence paint and off you go. Well, if you haven't got any wood, or I've scared you off a little bit, then there's another way. Very simply, same old slab, cost you £3. These I've just looked on the internet and you can get these for a couple of pound each. So what's this charge? I mean, if you've got to buy all this new, you're talking about £7 for a hive stand, 2 breeze blocks and a slab. These are slightly less than a foot, but to be honest, they'll be perfectly okay. The important thing is you've got the slab underneath, which prevents all the grass and dampness from rising through your varroa mesh floor and being a concern to getting a damp hive. Well, I hope all that information was helpful. And if you're still feeling a little bit uncertain or lack a bit of confidence, then I would recommend contacting your local beekeeping association, and that's very easily done. Just Google your town or your county, wherever you're living, BKA, and that will come up with all the contacts that you need, and you will get some really good sound advice on anything that you're feeling unsure about. They will quite often provide courses. They will tell you where your local beekeepers are. They'll have meetings, and you might even find some cheap equipment or even some bees. So good luck with your new venture.